Hello everyone. I know what you're probably thinking. I know you're probably wondering where the hell I've been throughout the last 4 months. Now, depending on when I post this video, I might have already posted the other video that I am planning to do, which is just another update video about my life, just to kind of talk about what's been going on and stuff like that. But right now I'm recording this one first, just to kind of get it out of the way, and then I'll record the other one whenever I have the time and then post it so that I can tell you what's been happening for the last 4 months, why I haven't uploaded anything. But right now, that's not the problem. That's not the thing that we're going to be doing today. So recently, I went to see the movie Obsession, the movie that's currently right now beating Star Wars when it comes to box office performance. And, well, I did this because, well, one, it's a horror movie. I like horror movies, and I heard a lot of good things about the movie. And so I said, you know what, screw it. I'm gonna go watch the movie today and see if it's good or not. I was a bit skeptical about seeing the movie, mainly because of the, I guess, topic of it, because it does have to do with, like, romance and stuff like that. And me personally, I'm just not the biggest fan of romance-related films, and so I thought, well, this probably isn't gonna be my cup of tea and whatnot. And after I've seen the film, I will say this. I don't think that this is a bad film. In fact, I don't think it's anywhere close to being a bad film, but I would never watch this again. I would never watch this movie again, simply because this just isn't, like I said, this just isn't my cup of tea. I just don't I don't really find the whole romance, or just in general, I have a bit of a problem with, like, romance in films. Not that I hate it or anything, it just kind of throws me off and makes me a bit uncomfortable when I watch films, and so this film kind of had a similar thing to it when it had to do with a lot of love and romance and stuff like that. I'm mainly going to be talking about this as a general film overall. I'm going to be talking about my experience as well, but I'm going to talk about this as a general film overall. And I will say, as a general film for most people, I think this is really, really good. I think Obsession is a really, really good film, and it does deserve to be right now #1 freaking box office performance or whatnot. So let's talk about it. I'm actually gonna first talk about some of the just few problems that I have with the movie. Usually I don't do this. Usually I talk about the problems later and first talk about the positives. I'm gonna talk about some of the problems that I personally have with the movie. #1, I think that the kind of idea of how the whole, I guess, yandere thing happens in the movie, I find it a bit silly, because it all happens because the dude, walks into the store. Bear, you should call him by his actual name. Bear walks into the store. He gets one of those make your wish thingies. He makes a wish, cracks it, and then all the stuff happens. I just kind of find the idea of it silly, because usually you don't take that type of stuff seriously. Usually just buy one of those things, make a wish, crack it, blah, blah, blah. Like, you don't take it seriously, It's like, okay, maybe it could happen, maybe it wouldn't, who knows. This movie kind of tries to explore, like, well, what if it did happen? What if the wish you did make actually, was granted? And so that's what this movie did. Basically, a dude named Bear likes the girl Nikki, and he wants to be in love with her and all that stuff. He wants her to be his girlfriend, and so he says, I want Nikki to love me more than anything in the world, and then cracks the thing, and that's where all of the stuff happens after the film. Like I said, I just find this a bit goofy. I just don't think, like, the whole idea of cracking one of those things for it to happen, I just find it a little weird. Another downside of the movie that I will say is some stuff that actually happens towards the end of the film, where, again, it has to do with the whole cracking thing. You can tell that that's my main complaint of this, where a dude asks for $1 billion, cracks a thing, and $1 billion actually do fly just in out of nowhere. Like, I get the movie to do this, but it just felt like such a silly scene. Like, it just felt ridiculous, just to see, like, this is supposed to be a horror film, and just randomly a whole bunch of just $1 billion starts raining down, and it's just, I don't know, I found it a bit just kind of weird, honestly. And there are some other weird scenes with the characters and all that, but And maybe when I do remember it, I will talk about it later. But now I'm getting to some of the positives of the film. The number one positive of the film is the acting itself, for both especially for both Bear and Nikki. I think they both did a really good job. The actors and actresses for those two characters, I think they did a really good job. Bear is a very, shy person that's, a bit worried, a bit scared, talking to, the who he wants to be the love of his life, and you kind of expect that, you kind of see that from his character and all that. And Nikki in this film actually has technically two personalities in the film. One of them is her normal self, and her normal, just normal self, I'll say that. And the other one is the one that she essentially gets corrupted by from the make your wish thing, because it legitimately feels like there are times in this movie where it legitimately feels like she's possessed by a freaking demon. Like there's even scenes where she moves around like a damn demon. It's creepy. It's really terrifying. It's very effective. And there are times in the movie where she snaps from this, kind of like yandere, like very just crazy lover type of personality, or just, I don't know, behavior. I'll say that, behavior. And she snaps back to her normal self. And when she does that, it is really effective. She's screaming around, she's being frantic, she's wondering what the hell just happened. And a lot of the people, in the beginning, they keep thinking, oh, it's because she's taking drugs or whatnot, she's going a bit crazy, she needs therapy and all that stuff. But no, it's really just this stupid make-a-wish thing that makes her do that. And it is really effective whenever she, breaks out of the demon inside her, let's say. Because there is one scene in the movie which signifies that these are two different people, where she is sleeping. I'm kind of going on a rant here. She is sleeping in Bear's bed, and when Bear gets up to walk to his friend Sarah, before that happens, and I will talk about that scene, but before that happens, she wakes up to Bear and talks about the real Nikki is talking to Bear, and is saying that Bear should just kill her, and because this is the one time where she, the real Nikki, is actually able to talk to Bear and tell him where she should just kill him, so that no more of this curse bullcrap, which she obviously doesn't do. He instead goes to the friend later. But this is still a very effective scene to show that there are like two entities like in the same person, where it's her normal self, and then it's this like demonic, like crazy lover, like I said, yandere version of her. And that scenes like that are very good and very effective at just showing that. And speaking of the acting, like I said earlier, the performance of Nikki, of her, I don't know the actress's name, but her performance as both of the versions of Nikki, I thought was spectacular. I thought it was amazing, and like she goes from a crazy ass psychotic person, crazy lover person, I know I keep saying that. I know I keep repeating myself. I know. I'm not a movie review channel. She just does a very good job at acting as both of the beings that have to do with Nikki. Now, the other prominent characters in the movie are the two friends of both Nikki and Bear. One's named Sarah, the other name is Ian, I think. I could have forgotten it by now. I think both of their acting performances are also pretty good. I think they're very, authentic. They feel real. There are times where it feels like, what's going on with here? Like I said, by the end of the film with Ian, I do think the whole acting performance, I don't think it's bad. It's just it kind of falls apart a bit. But for the most part, I think they also did a very good job at playing the character that they wanted to play. I'm going to talk about some of the major scary parts of the movie. First, I'm going to talk about the main thing that legitimately scares me about the movie, and scares probably most people watching this movie, is the tension building. This movie does a fabulous job at building tension. Like, you feel like most of the times you're just staring at, like, you're staring directly at one of the characters, and they hold just that frame of that character for a very, very long time while just talking, whatever, and you feel so tense in every moment. Like, even in those moments where like Nikki or someone else doesn't appear, you still feel tension because you keep thinking that there's gonna be like a jump scare. She's just gonna run up, she's gonna come to the car or whatever, something scary is gonna happen. But no, it's literally just the main character talking, or some other character talking to the main character and whatnot. And like I said, it's just very, very well done, because it is very just terrifying just sitting there, listening to them, and expecting there to be a jump scare or anything, which this movie doesn't have many of. And I'm fine with that. I'm fine with this movie not having many jump scares. But still, it's just the tension that really, really gets you shaking your boots in this movie. And about the jump scares I was talking about, the first few jump scares aren't they aren't the scariest or anything. Like, there's a jump scare of just, this isn't really a jump scare, but it's like, I guess you could count this as a jump scare of Bear trying to sleep in his bed, and Nikki is just watching him sleep. Like, she's just chilling in a dark corner of his room, just watching him sleep. Again, another effective scene for building tension. And while he's sleeping, while it gets very silent, she out of nowhere screams something along the lines of like, "Why don't you love me?" or whatever, and it's legitimately effective on how she does it. Legitimately did scare me watching the movie. There are some, jump scare scenes that I don't think are scary, like, or they're kind of just out of nowhere, like the one during the beginning. They're both in their house, and there's a quick little romantic scene of them in the bed. Not that type of scene, but just a scene of them kissing and whatnot. And then she out of nowhere, breaks out of the demon for a second. The real Nikki sees what's going on. And while it is a creepy scene, I don't think that loud stinger sound effect that just plays out of nowhere was really necessary, because I personally didn't get scared. Like, it played just this loud stinger noise, and it didn't scare me at all. It was just kind of weird, if anything. And there are some other scenes like that in the movie where it just plays this loud stinger out of nowhere for no real reason, and yeah, just kind of But talking about jump scares, if we're gonna talk about jump scares, I am gonna talk about the one that legitimately scared the crap out of me when I was watching the film. And that has to do with this scene of Sarah and Bear talking in the car. This is after the scene that I talked about earlier of the real Nick talking about to kill me and stuff like that. Bear goes over to Sarah's car, and they have a little talk with each other. They're talking about love, maybe being together and stuff like that. Talking about just like love related stuff, away from Nikki, of course, while she's still in the house. And again, this is one of those scenes that does build tension despite not much happening. There were many times where I was constantly thinking oh, she's staring at him through the windshield and whatnot, but nothing like that ever happened. And then out of nowhere, as Bear and Sarah are talking to each other, Nikki just rushes out of nowhere over to the car and busts the windshield on Sarah's side, and then proceeds to grab Sarah's head and then grab a brick and then start slamming her into the freaking car, into the brick, just smashing her head into the car, whatnot. And it was such an effective jump scare, because I was sort of expecting it. I was expecting that type of scene in this movie for a car, or the monster coming out of the darkness to the car and jump scaring the person. I was expecting that, but it still turned out to be really, really effective. it was a great scene. It was a legitimately great scene. All right, and so the last thing I'm going to do is probably just talk about the ending of the film. So this is probably where the biggest spoiler of the movie comes into play, because I'm going to talk about the actual ending of the film, and it has to do with Bear going back to his apartment where Nikki is, and Nikki made a wonderful little I don't know if memorial, just a wonderful little greetings to him, a wonderful little thing on his table. And then as he's doing that, as that is there, he looks over to the left of his door, his room, and there sits just the body of Sarah, just in a wheelchair, or just a chair. And again, it was a very effective scene. I thought it was very scary. And right at that same moment, Nikki enters the room, the demonic version of Nikki, of course. And they're talking, they're trying to, I guess, comfort each other, talk to one another. And Nikki once again starts screaming like, "No, you don't love me anymore, blah blah blah." And after that, they get on the couch, and as they're as Bear is trying to calm down Nikki, I think this happened, where Bear accidentally shakes his head, thinking that no, he doesn't love Nikki, which yeah, he doesn't. And she notices that, and it's because of that one little interaction which causes her to break again and screaming about, "No, you don't love me," just screaming very loudly. And then at that same moment, Ian, Fred, the friend of Bear, walks into the room, and immediately Nikki pulls out a gun out of nowhere, a freaking revolver, just out of nowhere. Oh, this isn't real, by the way. YouTube, don't age restrict me. This is not a real gun. All right, this is not a real gun. Swear to God, this ain't a real gun. She pulls out one of these damn revolvers and immediately pops Ian straight to the forehead, like without even looking, just shoots him. Again, very effective scene because it just happens out of nowhere. Though I do still think it's a bit silly how he just walks into the room and talks about, "Oh, I got $1 billion," and then just, shoots him. And after that, I don't know how Bear is able to do this, but he just gets up from that encounter and then immediately books it to the bathroom to hide away from Nikki, as Nikki is, smacking on the door, being really pissed. They're like, "Oh, you don't love me. What are you doing? God damn it, what are you doing?" And stuff like that. And, Bear is really frightened by this and all that. And right at that moment is where the big moment happens, where in order to break the curse, and this was talked about earlier in the movie, but I didn't bring this up. If you want to break the curse, the curse only stops when you die. Like, basically, you make the wish, and the wish only goes away when you die. And so this is the scene where he, I'm not gonna say it because I know YouTube is going to try to age restrict this. I mean, honestly, at this point, they probably have age restricted this. This is the scene where he tries to unalive himself, and at first he does it with I don't know how I forget. This was during this scene where he was comforting Nikki and he was able to grab the gun. At first, he tries to do it by, I don't need to explain how. He tries to use the gun to unalive himself, and he's not able to do it. He's not able to bring himself to doing it, and so instead he does something different in order to unalive himself, and he uses the pills, the assuming painkillers or whatever they're called, in his cabinet. Which I didn't mention this scene earlier because I didn't think it was the biggest scene, but there was a scene literally at the very beginning of the film where his cat was just dead. His cat was just laying on the floor, and it was because the cat consumed the painkillers and whatnot. And so he basically, at the end of the film, he gives himself a very similar fate by consuming a lot of the painkillers, which at first you're thinking, oh, they didn't have any effect, and nothing happened or anything. But after a bit, he ends up getting out of the room, and there's this small little scene of Bear and Nikki looking at each other. They get close to each other. I don't remember if they kiss or not, but you know, they're comforting each other, whatnot. And then that's when the painkillers and Bear finally click. When the painkillers finally, you know, click to his system, I guess, and he ends up passing out. He ends up, you know, getting a lot of drool on his mouth, you know, drooling in his mouth, and eventually he does die. And it's at this moment where Nikki is, you know, looking at what has happened, and she's, you know, she's crying at the fact that, you know, he died and whatnot, his lover died, and at that scene, she's about to do something that Bear was about to do to himself, which is, you know, using the gun, like I talked about earlier. She was, I don't know how she even got the gun. She was about to do it to herself, but right at that same moment, the curse finally breaks. Because he died, the curse, or the wish, is no longer there. She finally goes back to her normal Nikki self. And because of that, she doesn't actually do it to herself. But it's also at that moment where she cries even more and realizes, you know, all the horrors of what happened. And again, I do think this is a very powerful and very good scene to end off the movie. And yeah, after that, you know, she's crying, she's sobbing, blah blah blah, and then it goes, the camera pans weirdly like upside down like this on the TV, and then that's where it shows the credits. So yeah, I do think this is after I've watched this movie, after what people have said, I will say this. I said this at the beginning of the video. I do think this is a very good movie. This is just not my cup of tea. Like I said at the beginning, I still don't really like the whole romance thing in it. It still makes me, you know, a bit uncomfortable or anything. But if you're someone who, you know, doesn't have the problem that I have, and, you know, just especially if you're someone who likes the whole concept of a yandere and the whole concept of a crazy girlfriend killing other people and whatnot to love her boyfriend or whatnot, then I think you will really enjoy this film, because it is very, very well made. Like, me personally, if I was to give my own ranking on the film, how much I liked it, I'd probably give it like a 5, maybe a 6 on my ranking. But as just a general film for most people, this is some top tier shit right here. This is like a 9, legitimately. This is a very, very well put together film. It's just something not for me. So yeah, that's all I really got to say about it. That's what I wanted. I just wanted to talk about the film that I watched recently, because, well, it is a very new film and is popping off recently. And yeah, that's just those are just my thoughts on the film. You can have your own opinions in the comments, of course. It's totally fine. It's totally fine if you have your own opinions, or if you disagree with some of the stuff I say. Also, I should mention, this has nothing to do with the movie, but I think on the 19th of June, I don't know if I will see it, but the Backrooms movie is going to be available in my country. Yeah, I know for a lot of you Americans, it's probably already available from last month, but here, for some reason, here in Poland, it's only available on the 19th, which, you know, sucks. But when that movie does come out, and when I do see it, I will absolutely do a review on it, because I love the Backrooms. I love the dude who made the Backrooms, you know, the whole series and all that stuff. I will definitely do a review on that film, and I'm probably gonna like it a lot more than this film, because I do find the Backrooms a lot more interesting. But again, that's only when I'm going to be able to actually watch the film. And like I said at the beginning, I probably will do a video soon, or record a video soon, and then post a video soon about just what's been going on in my life, you know, what's been happening throughout the last 4 months, why I haven't posted anything, all that stuff. So yeah, that's all I got to say. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Peace.